Hey everybody! As you guys requested in the community vote, we are back with a video on the first rides of some of our auction rescues. So this is the first ride on Griffin at the farm. You can see here, he doesn't want to stand for me to mount. That's why we're in this little round pen here. Just want to see and evaluate where they're at, what they're thinking about. Of course, he's just been taken away from his friends that he's only known for a couple days in his field, so he's still getting adjusted to us. So basically my plan here is to work on getting him calm in this round pen, seeing where he's at riding wise, and I'm only going to test things out if he does other things successfully. You might have seen some of our previous evaluation videos where, if they're walking calmly, maybe we'll try in the arena or outside on the grass. But if they're not there yet, then we don't progress to that step until we're confident that we can be safe in doing so. Because these horses do not come with a lot of backstory. And look at that, he stood a lot better that time. Even though he walked off right away, he didn't start walking as I was getting up. So I can tell immediately that this is something we're going to need to work on right away. And I spend most of the session just working on getting him comfortable, seeing if I can have breaks, and then getting off and giving him a treat to reward him. So enjoy the process. And I'm working on just building off of small criteria here. So I want him to stand for me to get up, and then I want him to stand still while I get up and sit in the saddle. Then I want him to stand still and while I get up, sit in the saddle and wait for 1 second and then move to 2 seconds, etc. So we're just building off of small things. So I'm giving him treats and praise even though he's walking off, because he did stand still for just a little bit longer and make those small improvements. And especially for these first sessions, if I'm at a point where I need to ride them in the round pen, then I mostly don't tell them where to go. I just let them walk along and walk wherever they want, as long as they don't, get stuck at one point looking out over the fence, trying to holler for their friends. I just try to keep their feet interested, but I mostly give them the freedom to move on their own, so they don't feel like I'm just coming in from nowhere, they don't know me, and then I'm asking all these things of them. That's not everybody's style, but that's the way I like to do it. And I think I may have talked about this in a video a long time ago, but you can see me putting my hand about halfway up his neck and pressing while I'm asking him to stop. This is a technique I like to teach my horses, especially if I'm planning on using them in lessons, because I want them to slow down if a rider loses their balance, leans forward, puts their hands on their neck, etc. I want them to think of that as part of a slowdown cue. which is a safety thing that we put in for our horses that are used especially for beginners. Now, any horse people, quickly jump down to the comments and tell me what you're noticing that might be wrong with his trot here. If you didn't catch it, I'm going to trot him again in just a second here, but he is actually not sound. That means he has some pain or soreness in his feet at the trot, and it's not as comfortable for him. There you go. You can see his head is kind of moving up and down as he's trotting. That's one of the clues. We already uploaded the video of us getting his foot fixed, so you can go back and watch that. And of course, after noticing that he did have that soreness, I decided to call it. And we ended the session there on a good note, especially since he did so good with me asking him to stop by putting my hand on his neck. And the next clip here you'll see is a couple days later. He had more time to settle in, and I thought I would take him out on the open field that we have and see how he was doing. So he's nice and calm, he's walking good, and you'll see I try a little bit of trot just to see if there's any change. Here I wanted to see if he would trot away from his friends, and he complied, but you can see he's still a bit sore, so I really only rode him for about 5 minutes, just mostly walking, seeing if he will turn away from his friends and not be buddy sour, and then also trying out that trot to see if there's a difference. And you can just see he's not comfortable, and of course I never want to push our horses or ask them to do something that they're not comfortable with. So that was it for Griffin until we got his foot fixed. This is my first ride on Zeus at the farm, and he did the same thing as Griffin, as you saw, just walked off as soon as I got on. But again, so I'm saying, okay, that's something we're going to work on today. Just see where he's at, walk, maybe trot a little bit, just see how he's comfortable, and make sure that we're staying safe. And it seemed right away that he had a pretty good vocal stop. Just the way I said ho, and he would respond off of that, which was helpful because he does not really respond off of bit pressure. And that could be because he was used for driving. Maybe he's not as comfortable having a rider on his back, or just used to it, not sure what to do. But he did really well for his first session. And I do let them stop and take bits of grass in addition to kind of giving them freedom on where to move. I do this as a relaxation activity. Horses just naturally graze throughout the day. They want to eat. And if I worry that it's going to make them what we call a grass snatcher out on trail, I don't allow it. But again, this first session, I really want to build camaraderie. I want to build a bond with this horse. So if he wants to stop and take a snack and he does so in a calm way, then I'm fine with letting that happen. And look at this trot, isn't it so pretty? It has a lot of the typical Frisian in it, where he's really moving with impulsion. He's got a lot of front muscle pulling him along, and it was just lovely to feel that. It was hard to get him to slow down, but it was nice to see what he has and what he's capable of. And same thing as at the walk, I'm not really trying to control where he's going. We've got the round pen, so that's enough of a border. If he wants to go in tight circles or weave or zigzag this way or that, as long as he's still trotting calmly, then I allow him to move along, just so we can figure out each other and get to know each other's cues. He did really well, so I kept the session short and called it there. And then I took him to the arena a couple days later, the same day that I did Griffin's second session. I didn't set up the camera very well, so I am not going to include many clips, but just so you can kind of see, we're going to be working on the same thing, slowing down, working on trot, seeing where his steering is at. You can see he just moves really nicely, and he and the others had started to develop what we call the auction cough. So they usually develop an upper respiratory type of infection. Sometimes it's bacterial, sometimes it's viral, so the ways that we treat that are different. And of course, we have everybody in a quarantine pen. Here he's getting excited. You can see I'm asking him to slow down, and he's kind of hollowing his back. And then here we go with a cough. So of course, I'm not going to continue the session after this, knowing that he's not comfortable, he's not 100% healthy, and we're not going to keep riding them until they are better. Thanks everybody for watching two of our horses' first rides. Zephyr, the white one there, he wasn't quite ready yet, so we are going to keep working on them, making sure they're healthy. If you like the video, please give it a like, consider subscribing. If you haven't already, make sure to follow us on Instagram and TikTok, and we'll see you in the next one.